and welcome to the Sports Countdown podcast with Declan Hughes and Peter Lynch. This week we're talking Scottish football with the Premiership returning this Saturday. But before we get started, just as ever, a quick shout out to Freelance Football Ops, Top Grip, who source paid football media roles. So give them a shout on Twitter or LinkedIn if you're looking for a job in the industry right now. So Declan, on to Scotland. Obviously a big Celtic man, but unfortunately not a good time to be a Celtic fan. We might have to forget about Europe for a second or two for your sake and maybe for all you Celtic fans out there. So we'll focus on the league campaign. Gets underway this weekend. So new manager, new approach, some new faces in the squad. So how you feel? What are the thoughts before it all kicks off?
Just as it always seems to be that we go into, well, we talked about Europe, but even the league, we go in a little bit unprepared. Not a little bit, we're going very, very unprepared. We've not even talked about this as well. Like Neil Lennon left in February, so we've had 4 or 5 months to get one manager sorted out, even if it didn't come in at the tail end of last season, but then to prepare, at least then watch what they had in the squad. And then you can assess it. And then you can also get your targets lined up for who you want. And then as soon as the season's over, we can start that process, get them in early and get working with the new manager. As you said, new style, new approach. But we didn't. We let the Howe thing drag on for months. Then abruptly it comes to an end, and now you're scrapping again. And then obviously we identify Postecoglou as the replacement, which is fine. But he's been really hung out to dry, like, badly. And I've seen some tweets after last night that he's partly to blame, but I don't put any blame on Postecoglou for any of this. He's come in so late, took so long to get over the line. He's had a month, 40 days to try and get this squad in a position to compete in Europe. And then obviously the league seems to start earlier every season as well, starting to Saturday. So I don't blame him. And to try and get his targets in, he's even come out publicly and said that the process has been really slow to get players in. So even no matter how late we left it to get him in, we're still taking far too long to bring in players. And it's evident that we're lacking at the back. Welsh and Dane Murray, combined age of 39 at centre defence for a Champions League qualifiers. Not their fault, but just huge fault of the board that every season we're very, very unprepared. And we talked beforehand about how that it's mind-blowing that Celtic were in such a position of dominance in Scottish football for almost 10 years, almost a decade. And now we're in an awful position, just complacency from our board that make Rangers the clear favourites going into this season.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty mad to see. I mean, such a fall from grace.
It is. Yep.
Not great from a Celtic point of view. You kind of covered some of the key issues there. Obviously, the board. A lot of fans I've seen on Twitter and stuff not happy at all. One thing you did mention there is potential recruits. So of course you've seen we've got our poll going up on Twitter asking Celtic fans where they need to strengthen. I can say that fans seem to be happy with the midfield, but things look kind of slightly worrying at the back, and then also going forward. Ayer, obviously a big loss. He's gone to Brentford playing Premier League football, which is great. I think that won't be coming for a while though. Obviously Starfelt, he's been brought in to replace him, I think, and then you have Abada and Furuhashi, and they're going to strengthen things, on the wings going forward. Then you have the whole goalkeeper situation, which is kind of a major issue in itself, really. I think Barkas has been a bit of a worry for Celtic fans for quite a while now. Especially. So on that front, kind of Joe Hart's been mentioned today. Ben Foster here as well, even a return for Big Fraser maybe in the offing. So asking you then, what would you say is the main area? I know there's a lot of areas I think that could still do with 1 or 2 players, but where do you see the main problems lying?
I think definite goalkeeper. We just need to get a goalkeeper in that can save shots. Like I know Postecoglou and even like modern football is the goalie needs to be able to pass the ball about and start off attacks. But a goalkeeper's priority first and foremost is to be a shot stopper, to keep the ball out of the net, and I just don't have faith in any of the three. It was evident last season that Barkas, we still kind of gave him a little bit of hope going into this season because we felt Lennon kind of hung him out to dry a bit, saying he was number one, and then put Bain in, and Bain's no good either, honestly. And then Connor Hazard, I know he saved the penalties that won us the quadruple treble, but coming out for a cross, it was really. I think all of Hearts' goals came from a mistake from him not being able to come out and command his box for a cross. So going into this season, you're kind of hoping Barkas can maybe Postecoglou can get a tune out of him, but it's just an error again for the Michelin goal at home last week, which you've just got to, even if you think that if that's going anywhere close to goal, you just get your hand on it and like punch it out. If he can't catch it, he doesn't, pulls his hand away, they score. Then West Ham, I think it was highlighted that his positioning was so bad for Antonio's goal. He just gave him that his right side. No one's missing that. You know what I mean? Like, it's very, very, like, just so poor. And then even getting into this game, we were like, yeah, we'll stick with Barkas. And I thought he would have played Barkas as well. But the fact that he put Bain in yesterday means that Postecoglou's now just got like no confidence in him at all. And I think that ends his Celtic career, if I'm honest with you. But then Bain's just as useless. I don't want to sound really harsh, but he is. It's like, I thought Bain, when Rodgers brought Bain in, he was supposed to be a guy that could like play from the back, that he could pass it. But last night, man, like he wasn't at fault for any of the goals. I don't think there was much he could do, but his passing's appalling. Like, it's so bad, and that's what I thought we brought him in for. So if he can't do that either, I don't think Connor Hazard's a guy that can play with his feet. But also, we just talked about decent shot stopper, but like coming out for the crosses, he was a worry. So we definitely need a goalie. Who that's going to be, I don't know. Like, if you told me that Fraser Forster was coming back, I would bite your hand off for it, because he's one of the best goalies that I've ever seen play for Celtic, possibly the best goalie that I've seen. So really great shot stopper. And we saw 2 seasons ago that he won his League Cup final against Rangers. He's that kind of guy. Great performance there against even Barcelona in his first spell. Sensational that night as well. So it's a game changer, and you see that at Rangers, how many points Alan McGregor wins them a season. So, and he's not a guy that plays with his feet. He's just a great goalkeeper, a great shot stopper. So they win you points, they win you titles. So we definitely need a goalie. And I think the poll highlighted defenders, which is spot on. We talked about this again, need 2 right backs, I think. At least 1 left back, possibly 2 again. And another, we got Starfelt in, but we need at least 1 more centre back. So that's 4 or 5 from your goalie to your mid to the defence. We need like 6 players. Do you know what I mean? So a lot to do, and it's not going to get done in one window. Obviously, this is a rebuild. It's going to take time, but by Ange's tone and the way he's coming out and actually criticising the board, there's actually a breath of fresh air, I think, rather than hiding behind it and being like a yes man, just not criticising the board at all, which Lennon didn't do, refused to do it. So we need players in, and at least Ange recognises it. So yeah, we need that. And then we even talked going forward that if Edward goes, then we need to sign at least 1 striker, if not 2. So that's 10. That's possibly a full squad we need that we've just mentioned. So yeah, a lot of work to do, a lot of places to strengthen, but it's just bewildering that we're in this position in the first place.
Yeah, it's not good.
It isn't. Right. I'll let you talk about your Rangers then. Okay. So we've kind of discussed again that Rangers have got a real good core of players there, I think. But is there anything that you think they need to strengthen in, or maybe even like sell a couple of players? What's your thoughts on the Rangers squad?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've mentioned it. Just their squad's absolutely massive, and it's completely opposite to Celtic. You're wanting one or two players in each position. Rangers have that definitely all over the field. If I can think of all their like the goalkeeper, fullback, midfield, especially striker. I mean, they have at least two people in every single position, which is what you need. And I don't mean to rub it in, but I think Rangers will be pretty happy with what they've done so far.
Yep, no, absolutely.
Everything seems to be going pretty well there, compared to a bit of a mess at Celtic. And he's brought in a few guys. He's brought in John Lundstrom from Sheffield United. Like absolute hero for them. Premier League quality, which is obviously going to be, super for Rangers. He's strong, good passer of the ball, and everyone knows he loves a goal as well. So, and then even up top, they've strengthened through Fashion Sakala. Whether or not there's something deeper there with Morelos heading away, we don't know. Maybe Gerrard knows that, but because I think that's maybe four attackers they have there. Obviously, Morelos, Sakala, Itten, and Roof. So that'll be an interesting battle. You talked about players leaving. I think Gerrard, he's been spot on again there. He's let Edmondson gone, Stewart, Murphy. It's kind of dead wood that players that Gerrard just he doesn't want to waste his time with anymore. Basically, for want of a better phrase, he thinks they can't really cut it anymore. I think Jordan Jones could be another one. Could be out the door. He hasn't had the best of times there, and I think that's kind of something that Celtic aren't doing at the minute, just because they probably don't have any replacements lined up for whatever reason. Because I'm sure there's a few Celtic players in there anyway who you could do without, but you need a squad, so they're just not going anywhere. I think Gerrard will be a bit worried. I think Kamara, Morelos, I said, even Kent, they're attracting a lot of interest.
Yep.
He's come out and said that he's going to do all he can to keep them there. But even knowing him, he will have a few guys lined up if they do go. You've asked if they need to strengthen it. It doesn't look like they do, to be honest with you, because how good they were last season. But it's even harder to defend your title after winning it. So I think they might still bring in a few fresh faces. And then you need, obviously, he wants to challenge in Europe as well and all these competitions, cup competitions. So I think he's going to need, a bit even bigger squad than they have. So it's about getting that balance. But it looks like, and again, opposite of Celtic, it looks like he's going to be, supported to be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, there's positions in their squad that they can easily rotate if they did get, even if they don't get Champions League football, but if they do that or Europa League, whatever, there's still a lot of players in there that they can easily get rotated and it wouldn't necessarily weaken their team.
No.
They've got a few good centre backs in there. You've got Goldson, Hilander, and Katic is back, so you can swap that out. Even in goals, McLaughlin's not a bad goalie either.
Yeah, exactly.
At fullback, that's going to be a headache for Gerrard's. Can you drop your captain Tavernier for the young guy Patterson, who's looking a real prospect? Midfield, I've discussed, they've got about 6 or 7 players that can rotate in all of the positions in midfield, and then going forward, as you said, they've got 4 really good strikers. So really good depth in there. I'm sure they'll still be looking to bring in, as you're saying, maybe a couple other players, maybe out wide is where they could possibly maybe help Kent out a little bit.
Yeah.
And maybe like a right winger is something that they're possibly looking at. But yeah, looking good. And if they can hold on to Kamara, Morelos, Goldson, obviously McGregor will be there. They've got a really good shot at getting into the Champions League this season, I feel. They've got Malmo in their knockout tie. I think they'll be clear favourites to win that. Rangers have knocked out a lot tougher opponents than Malmo in the last 2 seasons in Europe. So I would be betting on Rangers to get through there. And then I don't know exactly what the last round will look like. It's probably going to be a big tie, maybe like PSV or something. I don't know how it works this season. Obviously, getting into the Champions League, it's more difficult for qualifying teams. So you're probably going to face a decent team there. then it might. But then again, Rangers will be really confident going into that the way they've played in Europe. So if I was betting on it, I'd be betting on Rangers possibly being in the Champions League this season.
Yeah, I'm spot on. I think Jared will be a bit disappointed if they don't make it that far, to be honest, with that squad that they have, with the talent in there. So I mean, they're obviously playing at such a high level, and they have for a couple of years now, especially last season. So they kind of need to just take that momentum and take it into the Champions League. I know you mentioned it before how early the season is. Like it's July, and it's starting this weekend, but I think they have the squad to be able to compete at all these levels. But I think we would not be forgiven by our followers if we didn't mention the smaller clubs, as they're known as in Scotland, the best of the rest. So outside the big two, I think that's going to be an interesting run up. That the top six. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Hibs and Aberdeen, obviously they were there third and fourth last season, so I think they'll be eyeing those positions again. But then you have Hearts back in the big time, looking to impress. You have, St Johnstone have to be in with a shout on the back of that cup double last season. So it's going to be an interesting run-in, definitely.
Definitely. There's always a few shockers that are there or thereabouts. You've kind of mentioned, I think Hibs are really strong and they've got a good squad under Jack Ross, and pending on Celtic's transfer business, we could be looking at, I don't want to say it, but if we don't get deals done, like you could be looking at maybe like a second and third battle with Hibs.
Yeah, I think so.
Strong team. A lot of experience in there as well, which will stand them strong, I think, going into this season. If they've got to hold on to their good players though, that I like said, will they hold on to Nisbet, who I think Celtic should possibly be signing. With Josh Doidge, I think he'd be a good prospect player that we possibly should have been looking at, So, and they've got Portis, who's solid. They've got a solid back line. I know they lost Marciano this season. I think did he go to Holland? He went to a pretty big team. It's really surprising. He's done well for himself there, but I think they've got a decent replacement in there. Good midfield, good offense going forward as well. Good strong team. Aberdeen, Stephen Glass had a bit of a tough start at the tail end of last season, but I think that squad was aging really bad. I think they needed a fresh face from Derek McInnes, so he'll look to bring in his own ideas, and he's obviously brought in, I say getting old, but he's brought in Scott Brown. I mean, I just think that experience of the league and just everything that he's won and done in his career is probably going to be pivotal for that team this season. They've named him like team captain as well, but you've also got some other experienced heads in there as well. Still got Considine, who's played in the league and for Aberdeen for a long time, and they're always there or thereabouts. I don't see them dropping out the top six. You need to see Aberdeen. I hope they kind of change their approach, their style. I feel as though they were just a team that would go from back to front really quickly and try and be a really physical side going forward. I just wonder if Steve Glass will maybe try and change it up and try and get some ball players in there and try and work their way up the field. They've got a great player in Ferguson in there. I think he's a fantastic Lewis Ferguson. I think he's a fantastic young player. And another guy that I would have been looking at Celtic to possibly have signed. I know his dad and uncle are big Rangers men, but there was talk before about us possibly doing it and that he would be keen. So he's another player that I'd be looking to possibly bring in. But he scored a great goal and they're qualified as well in the Europa League. So great player. So exciting for them. St Johnstone, I think they're just solid. Murray Davidson will be looking to continue that fantastic start last season. She said the cup double, top six. Probably should have got manager of the year, in my opinion, for doing that with St Johnstone. So obviously a lot of pressure on him now, maybe to maintain that standards. They've got a big Europa League game against Galatasaray. It'll be fantastic for them. Hopefully they can get a lot of fans in to watch it. But I'd expect them, they're just so solid. I'd expect them to be a top six team. We said Hearts as well. Don't know about Hearts. It's hit or miss, I think, for them. There's a few teams that that I think will be decent. Obviously, Livy are usually strong. They fell off a little bit last season, but usually a strong team. And Dundee United are another team that obviously just came back up last season, but they'll be looking to possibly push on and try and get into the top six as well. So there's always one or two that are fighting for that sixth spot, but I think the top five probably speak for themselves this season.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting fight. I think I wouldn't forgive myself if I didn't mention the Northern Ireland lads competing up there, because I think they're going to be key. Obviously, you have Liam Boyce, Michael Smith at Hearts, even our McAneff guy from Derry, signed from Shamrock, I think it was last season. Played a lot of football in Derry, so he's going to be key in that midfield. And then you have Ali McCann, St Johnson, who I've seen him linked with Celtic on a number of occasions. So he's a top player there. He's really young, but he's got a lot of experience already playing against top teams. So I think there's a few key players for those few sides who are gonna make a difference.
Absolutely. But we'll move on to our countdown this week. We've got so what we thought we would do is we're going to do our top three most important players for Rangers and Celtic for the upcoming season. So Peter, you're going to do Rangers and I'm going to do Celtic. So we'll start with you. You'll give three and then I'll give my three and we'll work our way down to the one spot.
Yep, absolutely perfect. Number three, I've gone for Fashion Sakala. Man, he's just come in from Ostende in Belgium. I think I've mentioned it before there, because Rangers are going to be fighting on all fronts. They're going to need every player possible. And as I said, they have a lot of options going forward. But I think Sakala might be, towards the top of that list, especially if Morelos goes. He seems to be, highly thought of, and Gerard says he's hit the ground running. He had 16 goals last season in Belgium in the top flight there, and he's already got his Rangers tally up and running. That preseason friendly against Real Madrid at Ibrox, not a bad way to open your account for your new club. So yeah, I think he's going to be key. He's my number three.
Yeah. So my number three is, before I should probably say that if we had a goalkeeper in and a striker in, that those two would have easily been on this top three. But I'm just going to go with players that I assume are going to be at Celtic or are at Celtic currently. So my number three, I went for James Forrest. I know he had a great chance to put us 2-0 up yesterday, and it would have probably changed the outcome of that tie. But last season, I think he was just such a huge miss. We really did miss him. The width that he can give us, his directness to run at defenders and one-on-ones, and the fact that he can chip in with a lot of goals and assists. So we crucially missed that last season. Even when he came on, I know he missed it, but he came on and he was direct, he was taking on players and he was trying to get shots off, and that's something that I think we definitely need, that firepower to take pressure off whoever our striker may be, is the fact that if we've got wingers and midfielders that can contribute in scoring goals or even assisting our strikers, which again was something that was missing last season. I think James Forrest will do that, and he's 27, 28 now. He's so experienced, and he's going to be, we really need him to stay fit, stay healthy this season, because if he's out, then it's going to be tough for us to compete with Rangers this season, I feel.
Yep, spot on, absolutely. So for my number two, and I'm not being biased here, but I've gone for Stevie Davis. Again, it's another position where Rangers, it's absolutely jam-packed in there. You have Aribo, Arfield, Kamara, Lundstrom, Jack, and a few more names. But I think Davis is the first man on the team sheet in there, to be honest. He was outstanding last season. Right up there with the very best in the league. He just has it all, really. He loves to tackle, inch perfect passing, just that composure and the experience, to be able to slow things down or to speed them up, whenever necessary. So I think his teammates are just really, really rely on him a lot, and they're very, very lucky that he's in there beside them. But what I would say, I think he's obviously getting on a bit, so it could be his last season, at the very, very top. But I still think he's capable of doing it.
Yeah, definitely. My number two is one new signing that we mentioned, Carl Starfelt. As you mentioned, Ayer's gone, Julien's out. possibly for the rest of 2021. So
Wow.
we need that experience in there. 26-year-old from played in Russia with Kazan, I think. Swedish international. Everything sounds good. So I think he's going to need to come in there, and he's possibly going to be playing on Saturday as well, thrown right in. There's not a lot of tougher places that you could start at for us than going to Tynecastle away, first game of the season. So I think he'll play, and we really need him to hit the ground running this season. And we need, hopefully, he's a commanding figure that dictates the back line and gives the rest of the defence and the goalie a lot of confidence. So again, I can't say that I've seen a lot of him, obviously, but just going on what we've heard, just hopefully that he is that. Hopefully, he's the guy that we thought Shane Duffy was going to be last season. That's what I'm hoping. Except hopefully this guy can pass the ball as well and fits the Postecoglou style. So, Carl Starfelt, on you, sir.
Yeah, there's a lot riding on him, to be fair. Obviously big boots to fill from Meyer. But let's hope Postecoglou's seen a lot more of him than you have anyway.
Yep.
Because he needs to slot right in there. So yeah, my number one, I've gone for Ryan Kent. I think what more can you say about the man? He's just such a raw talent, really exciting to watch, incredible ability. He scares defenders big time. Just with those kind of twisting and turning, dropping the shoulder. He's strong, he's quick. And I think his relationship with Gerrard has been key. Obviously, the Liverpool connection there. He is one that's been linked with a move away, as I said, but I do think these top players are going to stay if they qualify for the Champions League. I mean, why else would you leave? You're playing Champions League football. So yeah, he's going to be key. His goals and assists are just going to be crucial this season for Rangers.
Yep, definitely. So my number one for Celtic's Callum McGregor, newly appointed captain, experienced member of that squad now. Has been there except that one season he was at Notts County. Barring that, he's been at Celtic his entire life. Big season for him. Needs to lead by example. So he's got to have that leadership skills to get the team going. And again, from a setback that we've had already, he needs to have those leadership and captain qualities to pick the squad up and be ready for a tough season. It's going to be a really tough season, so he needs to have that character. So hopefully he does. So that's on like that aspect, but also as the player that he is, on his day, he's one of the best midfielders in the country. I think he's capable, kind of the way that we said Glenn Kamara is. I think they could walk into a lot of teams down south easily because he's got that much quality. We saw the best out of him under Rodgers. And it looks like Postecoglou's unleashing him a little bit, not making him do too much defensive work. He can get forward a little bit more freely, and we've reaped the benefits of that already. I know we get knocked out, but he scored an absolute screamer yesterday. Fantastic goal, and he scored already in the pre-season friendlies as well. And we know he's a player that can, as I said, need to contribute to goals from midfield. And he's definitely one of those guys that's got a lot of goals in him. But he can do that defensive work as well, and he can also shift to different positions in the field. So big season for Callum, and hopefully at the end of it, I don't know how confident I am. Fingers crossed, I can just see him with the Premier League trophy above his head. But I'm saying that more in hope than belief.
Well, no, we'll see what happens. Like, it's definitely exciting. It's obviously everyone's buzzing to have it back. I think it kicks off with Rangers Livy on Saturday morning, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be really interesting, and it's tough to call at the minute, but we'll see what happens.
I think you're just being modest there, mate.
I want to upset you.
Yeah, I mean, I think our own followers have said Rangers on the polls as well. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be the first season where Rangers are the clear favourites for the league. So you never know how the psyche plays on players, But Rangers just look very well drilled and organised. I think every player knows their job, and Gerrard's got good coaches around them that I think play a really, really crucial part in the way they play and the way they're set up. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. again, you can't help have the buzz about it, even if your head's telling you it's going to be really, really bad. But hopefully, Celtic perspective, a few more signings in, the players can adapt to the way we want to play under the new manager, and fingers crossed we go off to a really good start on Saturday night.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, mate. I'm excited.
We will. And I think that's all we got time for today. I know we could talk about this for days, but thank you again, everybody that's been listening. I think we can say that next week we're probably going to be doing the English Premier League review.
Yep.
We'll be having as well an Olympic review when the games end as well. So there's plenty of stuff to be excited about and look forward to. But again, thank you for everybody that's been listening. And if you haven't done already, if you can follow us on our social media platforms, that'd be awesome just to support us out. Pete, thank you for joining me again. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure, mate. Sorry you had to go through the worries of Celtic, but we'll see what happens, man.
It's all right. We've done 3 or 4 of these now. I'm used to these pain. I'm used to pain. I'm sure we'll have more painful ones get on into this season anyway. But thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you all again next week. Take care.